because Americans have less than 2 days left to cast a ballot in the 2024 presidential race, and the nominees spent the weekend making their final pitch to swing state voters, and they struck two very different tones. What a surprise. Take a look.
Give me a good mic, and I went through two of these today, and it knocks the hell out of your throat. So, I had to go. We had the safest border in the history of our country the day that I left. I shouldn't have left. I mean, honestly, because we did so well. It's a very demonic party. It's become that way. The people aren't. The people, Democrats, regular Democrats aren't. Most of them agree with what I'm saying. To get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news. And I don't mind that so much.
I see Americans from so-called red states to so-called blue states who are ready to bend the arc of history toward justice. Let us use our power to advance the cause of freedom, opportunity, and justice. Yes, let us turn the page and write the next chapter of our history.
So, Election Day is tomorrow. How are these closing messages going to track with voters or parents who had to allow their children to watch this fool messing with a mic that way? I hadn't seen that, so I don't know why I'm surprised.
Can you imagine what the reaction would have been if it had been Kamala Harris who had done that to a microphone?
Yeah, or
the
anybody.
Hypocrisy is endless.
Yeah. If anybody, anyone, I mean, who does that?
Nobody except for him. And I do think their closing remarks are, in each state, are really resonating with voters. I will say that the vice president spoke at a historically black church, and she also spoke to Arab Americans in Michigan, which is a battleground state. And she said this: in times of uncertainty, we are reminded weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. And church mourning is on its way. She got a standing ovation. It resonated. She said to Arab Americans, as president, I will do everything I can to end the war in Gaza. I think that resonated with them. And then on the other side, you have Trump having a meltdown at a rally in Milwaukee, simulating a sex act, basically, with a microphone. He declared that he shouldn't have left the White House at the end of his term. I mean, I don't think we should have let him into the White House, but there he was. And he said, I don't mind if reporters are shot at. And the Democratic Party was very demonic. So you have the vice president offering hope, unity, while Trump threatens the press, sexually assaults a microphone, and drove around in a garbage truck.
Allegedly.
I mean, which one resonates, right? Which one resonates?
Yeah. Well, listen, we're talking about closing messages, and they matter. And I want to give mine because I'm not speaking as a pundit or an analyst, but I'm speaking as a former senior aide to Donald Trump, who knows him very well, spent a lot of time with him. This is the most important election of our lifetimes because he is the most dangerous man to have ever sat in the American presidency. He cannot go back. And we've never been in this moment before. His own vice president, Mike Pence, is not supporting him. I could go through the list of senior advisors. We are telling you he should not be in that role. And to Republicans who are on the fence, set aside the character, the trying to steal votes and overturn an election. He has betrayed conservative principles. Just yesterday, he said, in many cases, our allies are worse than our enemies. He means Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. He thinks Iran, Russia, and China are better than you. That should matter. He flip-flopped on TikTok. He's not securing the border. He is promising tariffs that will affect the middle class and will crush our economy. This is not a man who is running on anything that conservatives for the last 50 years have believed in. And this is the moment to make our votes matter and to go and vote him. Make sure he's nowhere near the White House again.
You know, since this race started, I have been saying this is a binary choice, this is a binary choice. But we take for granted, I think, at this table, and maybe people who are political junkies, that there's some folks that don't pay attention until the very end. And I think that when the story of this election is written, that Madison Square Garden rally is going to be a key point. Because I think those people who had Trump amnesia and had forgotten what a whack job he is, and just the ambiance that he creates and permits, that he gives a permission slip to bigotry, to racism, to misogyny, to hostility, to division, to threats. All of that was brought back in that 5-hour rally from hell. And then 2 days later, You had Kamala Harris offering you hope and unity and lifting Americans and saying she wants to be a president representing all Americans and giving us optimism and giving us plans for the future and having things she wants to work on, not just people she wants to execute retribution on, right?
Yeah.
And so the binary choice in the last 10 days could not be more clear. I have been on the ground in North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, and Pennsylvania. The enthusiasm,
Yes.
the joy with which people are going out there canvassing for Kamala Harris in the rain. I was with Doug Emhoff and Tim Walz yesterday. You can't shake a stick in a swing state and not hit 5 or 10 people campaigning for Kamala Harris. They are out there doing the work, earning it. I was at the airport in Atlanta, and I started randomly interrogating black men. Every single one told me they were voting for Kamala Harris.
Yeah, it's a false
and
narrative that black
one
men
of the
are not.
young men told me that he was doing so because
His grandmother
told him.
Yeah.
So to all those elders out there, make sure you get those young ones out to vote.
Well, I think that there's always a gender divide in every election, but this will absolutely
different.
come down
Yeah.
to men and women because they're seeing this poll out of my home state of Iowa. Very proud. That is showing that Harris is leading, and I know at times we don't know what these polls mean, but that definitely can't mean a bad thing for her, whereas it could for
This
him.
pollster is always
This pollster
has
is
been
always,
right.
Yeah. But I think it comes down to more than just the fact that women's reproductive health is on the line. It is the tone of the campaign. When they say women lead in a certain way, I'm not saying vote for Vice President Harris because she's a woman, but men are more willing to set aside some of the ways he speaks, how he acts as mothers and women and leaders of the next generation. There's no version of this that I would ever want to offer for my children. There's no offer I'd want them to witness, and
Yes.
it's not in my soul
You don't
to
want
be this.
them to witness that microphone moment?
Yeah, that and 1,000 other things.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you look, you have to look at the person. Can you ask yourself honestly, does this person care about me? And there's such a clear answer when you run that by both candidates.
Yeah. Well, here's to tomorrow. Here's to tomorrow.